And we're back once again, only on its last call. Last call of the alcohol, only on the lastcallpodcast.com. And join me here on location once again. He's had several offers. I mean, he turned down the FBI, as it said. He even turned down Jordan Schultz, Ian Rapport, the bodyguard against George Schultz, because he said, I don't babysit, babies. But we're proud to have him on the show. I give you uncensored, unfiltered, the largest biceps in the world, naturally. I give you Kevin Apollo. So, Kevin, let's start off here with glad to have you on. And we're going to start with, something that's oldie and goldie to my heart, which is it is a Elimination Chamber. Yep, this is a little bit smaller than we want, but hey, let's go first to the previous one. It all starts with Cody and Rock, and will Cody sell his soul? What's going on here? Is this good, or is this basically Vince Austin Timo 2.0?
Well, we don't know yet, right? We don't know yet. The final boss character, although we got a fantastic introduction this time last year, The Rock right now is not a heel and he's not a babyface. He's floating in between, and we don't necessarily know what he means. I mean, one of the more frustrating aspects of this promo was that we watched The Rock weave in and out of being heel and being babyface and being a tweener, back to heel, back to baby, back to tweener. The and Cody did a great job of selling what the audience was experiencing. He looked legitimately confused by what was being said, and it's kind of one of those. It is what it is. The Yes, it was awkward. Listen, I get it. The Rock is a prolific performer. He has a lot of stroke. No one's going to give him production notes. He's going to walk up there and he's going to spitball until he gets to where he wants to get to. But one of the things about wrestling is when you don't do it all the time, it takes you a little bit to get your groove. And I think that's why this promo felt as disjointed as it did. It took The Rock probably I want to say a good 5 minutes to get the traction that he was looking for. And then, it took him another 5 minutes on top of that to kind of weave the tapestry that he was trying to put together. And then what the promo itself was about 20 something minutes. So, you spend about the first 10 minutes going, what's happening? What's he even talking about? On top of that, we mixed in with a WrestleMania announcement. So there was a lot to digest. I guess a lot to unpack, so to speak. But I'd say it's a little too soon to say. It's a little too soon to say. I do not think that we are going to get a Rock Cody match. I do not think a match like this, or rather, a storyline like this needs it. I think I said it just as early as the last time I was on. Cody is not Cena. He's not Hogan. He's not Rock. He's not Austin. Cody is more in line with Bret Hart as champion, where Bret needed storylines to make his fantastic matches carry a little more weight. Cody's been having banger after banger. People kind of forgot about AJ because it was so early in the feud. But the stuff with KO was fantastic. All the bloodline matches with Solo, but Cody hasn't had that breakout. This is awesome, storyline. It's been a lot of great matches, but it's been all very basic stuff. So, in order to get Cody to the next level, you've got to give him that soap opera theater, and I think this is their attempt at doing it. I think it's probably a last minute pivot, right? We all, I would have bet, I would bet my children that we were going to get The Rock versus Roman because that's where all the storyline was pointing to. But Rock has movie obligations. He's not filming yet, but I'm sure his insurance will not allow him to wrestle. So Rock Roman is on ice, for the time being. So we have to pivot, which is why I believe we're getting Roman Rollins, and then eventually we'll probably cycle back. And also too, got to realize I don't think they ever envisioned a world where Jey Uso is going to blow up to the point that he has, where you have to follow this momentum and see where it goes. I've been a firm believer that the Bloodline storyline was always going to end where it started, and that being Roman versus Jay. And I always thought that it was going to be Roman making Jay, and that's when you would probably see if Jay was going to be a champion. Oh, now you got to factor in that this we probably leapfrogged about 2 years, probably another year and a half, maybe 2 years of TV storyline to get to the inevitable end result. So everything's kind of in flux right now. Um, I know one of the big complaints about Raw, and I feel it too, is that it's been a little slow, it's been a little boring, and that is a valid criticism. Again, this time last year, we were smack dab in everything Bloodline, and we were just ramping up, ramping up. Plus, Return of Punk. But you can't run hot all the time, and this is also a restructuring, rebuilding year. We've seen a lot of new characters get elevated. Priest, Gunther. You still have other characters who need to be who need to be reassigned, specifically LA Knight, even Logan Paul. And then I also think that coming out of Mania, Raw is going to look very different. I wouldn't be shocked if we found a way to get Cody on Raw, and I'm assuming Jay on SmackDown, along with a lot of other switches, outside of a major draft. So I think these are all things that kind of play into why we're feeling like Raw has been a little slow. It hasn't been bad, but it's just been a little slow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so let's start with The Rock first, or Dwayne Johnson. Like, what is Dwayne? I mean, I guess here's the big criticism. What is his priorities? Because it's great he shows up. Yes, he does the whole promo, but he doesn't want to be a heel because he's selling TV shows, he's selling movie tickets, he's selling, his brand. And if you're Triple H and you're Nick Khan, at what point do you have to go, look, we love having you on, but either you got to plan this out like 4 or 5 months in advance or don't show up because we can't have you just show up, when you feel like it, drop a ball here and we have to start pivoting around you doing all this because this is what it feels like. Well, Rock wants to be at WrestleMania. He can't wrestle because Fast and the Furious starts within the next month or so. He has Moana of a live action thing, which is still shooting right now. And as you said, insurances won't cover him wrestling. So instead we get this, and it feels like I'm here. Let's do something. And everybody has to sort of jump and go, yes,
Yeah.
Rock, let's do it.
I think it's a little more complicated than that. His schedule is complex. So a Rock appearance, unless they say, "Hey, we need you tonight," it's generally not going to be a last minute thing. The guy is in 1,000 places all at the same time, so that takes a lot of coordination. They roughly know where he can or can't be, probably a few months out. Or if they get an idea, or if he has an idea, they have to plan it out for at least a few weeks. So I don't think this was the last minute bomb that people are wanting to say it is, just because the segment was a little weird and the story, the story popped up. But again, I always point to soap operas. If you're a soap opera watcher, usually when it comes time to shake things up, you get a big story right smack right smack in the middle of everything else that's going on, and it shifts the focus of the programming. So I would kind of look at this as a mid-season sweeps surprise in terms of elevating, or rather say generating excitement for Cody. Got to remember we're only a little bit of time out from Mania. The tickets are selling well, but they're not selling as well as they probably should be. I personally think that has a lot to do with the price point. The I don't think the international markets are coming in the way they have, and that has a lot to do with just airfare and what's going on with Europe, and the fluctuation in the value of their currency, plus the unstable environments, blah 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 blah. But I think the at home audience, I think the American blue collar family has very slowly been priced out of WrestleMania, versus previous decades where those tickets would have been gobbled up immediately. Where the WWE is starting to infringe on NFL, NBA, MLB territory in terms of pricing people out. So I don't know if internally they take a they take a second look and go, hey, we need to recalibrate. But in the meantime, They're gonna try it with injecting some extra energy, and The Rock is a needle mover. I know people like to pretend that he isn't, but the guy did. With 1 day's notice, USA had over what was like 1 point, I can't remember. It was like 1 point, it was like 1.3, 1.4. So that was on Fox. That would have been an over 2 million people night. But for USA, that's phenomenal. And in the middle of everything that's going on in terms of your sports seasons, we're on the other half of everybody's all-star breaks. Now it's time when everybody starts paying attention to what's going on. While we're on the road to June. So it's yeah, it's just it's an interesting time, but I think we need to be um I would say probably a little more forward thinking in terms of how we look at the Rock schedule. Again, the guy's very busy, and these are very complicated things that can kind of pop up. And it's I think it this I think it's unfair to say that this probably happened willy-nilly. There was a little bit of coordination, and listen, the WB writers work very hard, very grueling schedules. Like I said, they have to be able to adapt on the fly and make it work. I don't believe for 2 seconds what Meltzer's putting out there in the Observer, that nobody knew what was going on. That machine is too well oiled, and too versed in last minute pivoting to be confused by a segment. It's just when The Rock is on live TV, because who's going to tell the boss he can't go as long as he wants to go? Even when he wasn't the boss, he kind of goes as long as he wants to go, and people eat it up. So you just don't know how much TV time you really need to allot for The Rock. Honestly, I say this segment should have opened the show, not been the second to last thing, or was like second to last, third to last, whatever it was. They should have opened the show with this to kind of set the tone, and give you some intrigue. But I'm not on the production team, so it is what it is.
So let's go to skipping here a bit. Elimination Chamber. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We have it is the big thing here. So we'll go to this in a second. So we have four matches. We got Owens versus Zayn, a no holds barred match. You get Tiffany, Trish versus Nia Jax, Candice LeRae. You get the women's elimination chamber, and you have the men's elimination chamber. Outside of, I'd say, Trish and Tiffany versus Nia Jax and Candice LeRae, I have no idea who's going to win the next three matches. So, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Or is this something where W is going, hey, we're going to just, keep you on the edge of your seats?
I mean, this is a good thing. This is a good thing. Unpredictability is good, especially on the fandom side, right? They've been moving methodically, but nothing has been bad. There have been no stinkers. The storylines are waxing from unorthodox to just straight out of 1980s traditional. So the it's a good time to sit back and be a fan. That's kind of all I really have to say about it. It's like, we shouldn't always know what's going to go on, but it's fun to speculate. But other than that, it's a fun time to sit back and just watch a pay-per-view and be like, all right, man, what's it going to be? Owens and Zayn, the that can go either way, right? That can go either way, and I sincerely doubt that it wraps up at Elimination Chamber. You still have to squeeze them in the Mania, but you also have another thing to, like, hey, where's Randy Orton? I'm sure he's going to pop up at some point in time. Again, you just there's a lot of things that can be done, between now and Mania. So it's I say just chill out and let's see. The only thing I do not want to see is John Cena winning this match. I think I know some people want it. I personally think that it's a mistake to do Cena Cody. The I don't see why. I just don't think John Cena needs that belt one more time. I just don't. I just don't. The other than you really want to get him to 17 so that someone finally breaks Flair's record, which, if we all know, really isn't actually Flair's record. I think Flair's record should actually be 18, but it is what it is. It's I just don't see it. I don't see the need to do it. I think Cena versus Paul, I think there's just more interesting matches that you can give Cena that'll do more for newer characters who are kind of punching their way through.
So let's start with Zayn versus Owens. Who should win? Who will win? And is this where all of a sudden Randy Orton shows up and we get Orton versus Zayn versus Owens at WrestleMania?
Um, this is a tough one. They love them some Sammy. I don't know. I'm kind of over Sami Zayn, but I think he's just a little soft. But at the same time, I at some point in time, Sami Zayn's gonna be a champion. I think that there's a Mick Foley-esque quality about Sami Zayn that they're not gonna be able to deny for much longer. He kind of has an everyman appeal. Yeah, maybe, or maybe a more sensitive everyman, but he has an everyman appeal. So, people like to get behind Sammy. He is great at generating sympathy, so you're gonna have to do something with him eventually. But I also feel like Owens needs a definitive win, right? He's done a lot of great heel work. He's very convincing. He's a menace. And yes, it is the heel. The destiny of the heel is always to lose at some point in time. They're just going to have to. They have to be defeated. But I, I feel like Owens needs the win more than Sammy, unless you do something where Owens gets, where someone comes in and cost Owens the win. Because I think that Owens Orton is the more compelling Mania match than seeing Owens and Sammy again, or even seeing Owens and Sammy versus Owens and versus Orton versus Sammy. I don't necessarily want to see that.
All right, so we go to the women's elimination chamber match. Who should win? Who will win? Because there's nobody that screams like this should happen. There's no like build. Unfortunately, Rhea Ripley, or as some critics call now, Rhea Hogan, has just cleaned out everybody. I don't think they want to. I know that there's people in WWE like, yeah, let's do Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania with some stipulation. I think people will just even go, ugh.
Yeah.
I
That's the
want
right.
Bianca Belair, but that just feels like we're rushing it. Like, oh yeah, this is the dream match, but we're gonna rush it with no real build or heat.
Yeah, listen, Rhea Bianca is probably the biggest women's money match that they have right now. But I don't think it should be a last minute thing. I think if you're going to do that match, that is a match that deserves a full throated classic from the Rumble to Mania build up, not the pay per view in between. Again, you still have a good amount of time, but I don't want to see this feud get crafted that way. Who else is in the women's match?
We got Alexa Bliss, we got Roxanne Perez, we got Naomi. I mean, as you said, you look at it, it's like, crap, who the hell really? It's Bailey and Bailey. So it's like, do we do Bailey again? That feels like just yeah. Roxanne Perez, too new. Naomi, as I said, Jade Cargill's. We still don't know who attacked Jade.
I don't think we're gonna find out about anything with Jade until SummerSlam. The I would almost say that I would think it should be Naomi. I mean, Naomi's been in that main event or main event adjacent slot since she came back. She's been involved in big stories, big matches, and she's probably the freshest face you're gonna get. The just in terms of being able to go up against Rhea, because Rhea has beaten everybody except for Naomi. We can, especially now with the partnership, you can put over that she was a TNA champion. You can talk about her earlier reigns as the women's champ. I think you can get a little more. I think you can get some good steam out of that. It's just a matter of you're just in a weird spot where you got to do face versus face. Even like I know they want to keep teasing Io. Io's not in the match, right?
No, Io's wrestling on Raw afterwards against
Okay,
Rhea for the title.
yeah. So unless honestly, I think this is one of those years where you should probably do multiple women in the title match, where there should be some kind of three-way or four-way, just because you do have a lot of people who should be in the slot, but not necessarily one person who is standing out above the rest, which when you're looking at the caliber of the woman in the match, isn't necessarily a bad thing because they're all main event. They're all main event quality, or rather, I should say main event level. It's just right now the way the storylines have been kind of crafted, and again we're doing a cross brand feud. There just isn't. I don't think you have a lot of time to to find a clear leader of the pack. So I say just F it and just let's just do a good old fashioned ECW style triple threat or fatal four way, and because at least now you got something to be excited about. I know Cornette would probably scream lazy booking, but there's a time and a place for it, and I personally think this is probably the year to do it. And let's just save Rhea and Bianca for a bigger save it for New Orleans.
So what
Um,
will happen? I mean, what in the back of your mind, we know this is WWE, and they like to sometimes just paint by numbers. Who do you think is going to walk out?
I don't know. Listen. I would shock everybody, and I would give it to Naomi. I give it to Naomi. Can you still have because you still have time to twist and turn the storyline? Or you could Naomi wins and she's, babyface celebrating with Bianca, and then you find out that Naomi may have possibly been the one to sabotage Jade, and now you give Naomi a little bit of heel stink. The or you throw up against you contrast to the journey of Jimmy and Jay. There's a lot that you can do there. I just think that Naomi, for me personally, is the best candidate because you get some fresher you get some fresher squeeze for the juice out of that one. It's Bailey has been done to death, and I like Bailey. Well, I like Bailey. I don't complain about Bailey, but Bailey's storyline has been done to death. And after she won last year because she was babyface, they didn't really know what to do with a babyface Bailey. She's a very strong heel. I hope they find a way to kind of get her back there. Especially to the women who are on TV are the ones who are the leaders of the pack. Now they've got to turn around, and we're doing what we got to do to get a little extra shine on Roxanne, and who's the other NXT girl in that match? But like Roxy, or as they say, Shotzi, and everybody else who you haven't seen in forever, they're so far down on the ladder that you got to start doing something to build up the middle of the middle of the woman's card. Because not every you can't keep throwing people into slipshod tag teams. It just doesn't work, and they keep breaking up and firing members of their tag teams, if not both tag teams. So you got to do something that's gonna give that woman's U.S. title a little something, and you got to do something to give the women's tag team titles a little something in terms of the stability and viability.
So let's get to the men's main elimination chamber, the men's elimination chamber match, the main event. It's John Cena versus CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre versus Logan Paul versus Seth freaking Rollins versus Damian Priest. We can eliminate Damian Priest. I don't think he's winning, it's not a slam against him. I think I like him. I think it's too mid right now for WrestleMania main event. If you're gonna have Cody Rhodes, be a main event for night 1 or 2, you can't have Damian Priest and Cody. It just doesn't make sense. I think you can eliminate Logan Paul because it's just too. They've done that already, and you need to wait for that. Chris Featherstone's reporting it's going to be Drew McIntyre. He's going to walk out, and he will be the guy who challenges Cody Rhodes. A lot of the sheets and the insiders say it's still John Cena because hey, Cena last WrestleMania, might as well do Cena versus Cody. A changing of the guard. CM Punk's the wild card. I mean, because I know they want to do that, but on this WrestleMania with everything going on, do you want to convolute it with him and Roman and Paul Heyman and The Rock, or do you just wait a year, especially with New Orleans coming up next year?
I've been saying it for the last probably the last year and a half. I don't do Cody Punk right now. I wait. I do Cody Punk next year, or if they would as soon as they know they're going to go to England, you do Cody Punk in England and rub that salt in the wound. I think you come out of this with we're going to find a way to transition to Punk versus Paul for Mania. I can see McIntyre coming out and challenging Cody. Drew is a fantastic heel. Fantastic heel. He's new to SmackDown, so you don't have to worry about that jumping back and forth with the brand stuff. And I could potentially see a scenario where Drew approaches The Rock to be his champion, because we got to get a little shine back on Drew. He's one of those heels who can win at any moment, but he doesn't. You know, but maybe if you recreate a situation where Cody's in so much danger, that the Cody victory i- is so impossible that everybody breathes a sigh of relief at the end of it. I think that'd be something that'd be great for Drew too. My thing with Cena is really Mr. SummerSlam. If you're gonna do a big moment for Cena in terms of the world title, do it at SummerSlam for Cena, because that's where the majority of Cena's strongest matches have been. Give him his moment where that's essentially that's his freaking pay-per-view. You've got space to do it, but I just yeah I say let Cody walk out of this WrestleMania intact, and then we move on. And then by the time you're done doing the Cena thing, your main event slate is so wide open that you can have fun watching Cody punch his way back up to the top. And then at the same time, I would position it so that Punk finally wins the Rumble. Cody finally gets his belt back. Punk wins the Rumble. The match is set, and let the rest of the story speak for itself. We don't need to know what the favor is from Heyman yet. It's unnecessary. I say milk it out for as long as you can. The people aren't going to forget it. The I know it turns into, well, what do you do with AJ? But that also turns, well, what do you do with a lot of people? This is a big show that has a lot of big time players who don't really have dance partners right now. Then you got to figure out compelling ways to get them all on there.
Regarding Drew, and I've been on record saying Drew should get a world title run. Drew should get this here because he is my favorite guy. He is the heel who's right, and yet we don't believe him. How does that make logical though? Because he's real like the bloodline of scrutiny. They've been my the anti his basically antichrist. They destroyed everything he's built. And now going to the Rock, it just feels like, well, like it's like LeBron James when he did his whole announcement, like, hey, you know what? I can't win the NBA title on my own, so I'm going to join them. That's what it feels like. And for Drew, for his character, who's been this guy who is the one man weapon of mass destruction, it just seems like a huge bit because, well, once again, Rock needs to be involved. We really don't want to do Cena because there's a fan backlash of, and yet at the same time, Drew and Cody just feels not because of these two guys. Everything we've had the past couple of years just feels sort of like just below. It's like you got prime rib, now you just get steak tips.
Yeah. Well, I think, and also too, I don't know why you would put fans in a position where they have to choose between Cena and Cody. It's silly to me. The but With Drew, because especially with the way Drew's character works, right? It's an excellent character. Drew's biggest weakness, because he's strong everywhere else, Drew's biggest weakness is himself, right? Every time Drew has won, or rather lost at the last second, it's because he sabotaged himself. Do you go back to Mania? If Drew wins his title and just leaves instead of tormenting Punk, he has a long run. If Drew just decided to finish Punk at it in the chamber instead of dicking around, he doesn't get hit in the face with the with the toolbox. The can't think of another one, but you know in this instance though, Drew is so laser focused on becoming champion again, that it would it wouldn't be completely totally unbelievable that this character would make a devil's bargain with someone from the bloodline to get what he wants, right? Because everybody else seems to want to forgive Roman, um, but it'd be something as simple as, the final boss didn't go to you, Roman, because you're too weak. He went to me because he knows I'm what's best for business. It's something that could work for Drew. It could work for Drew. There's a lot of ways where you can kind of twist and turn this story and still have it be compelling. It's just it's there's I say it's just luckily it's just a little there's just too much good stuff going on right now to want to say definitively, hey, I bet this is where they're going to go.
All right, so who do they do? I mean, I know it should be Drew. That's in your mind. It should be. Who will WWE do? Especially considering this is Cena's final year. It's you, and there's a lot of people in TKO in WB who look at Cena and go, "He has been Mr. WWE. He took everything we had. We smiled. Sold T-shirts. Do the make a wish. He's
Well,
he's bigger than Hogan, bigger than Roman, bigger than Austin in terms of longevity. He's been there, and even when there were scandals, he kept the company afloat. So do they really pivot to Drew, or do they just go to safe pick, which is hey John Cena?
I don't know. I listen again. You can't. You, Cena's at a point in his career where it's time to start giving the dude his flowers. The guy is the biggest to ever do it, and he's the only one to leave on his own terms. Hogan, Flair, Austin, even I guess maybe you could say The Rock left on his own terms, but Cena's the only guy to leave who was on top. He was on top the longest. That he was on top the longest, and he left because he wanted to leave, not because someone said we needed to wind it down. The so that's virtually unheard of. That's virtually unheard of over the last over the last 50 something years. Even Bruno got told it was time to wrap it up. So the again, Cena is just a different kind of entity. I don't. When is Money in the Bank?
Money in the Bank is almost after. I think the pay per view after that. So who, as I said,
The
I
pay
get
per
what you're
view
saying. You
after
always
pay
win
per
Money
view
in the
after
Bank, but
Mania.
even that feels just sort of like. I
I
mean,
would
as I
say
said,
I would have Cena lose and then have him win Money in the Bank, and because Cena's the consummate babyface, he tells you when he's going to cash it in. He walks out the next Monday. Hey, SummerSlam main event, John Cena versus blah blah blah, and now you have the ability to build it almost like you almost get the ability to have a mini sequel, to the Highway to Hell, because they told us about Austin Taker what in May, maybe even a little earlier. Like as soon as those SummerSlam tickets went up for sale, the poster was always Austin Undertaker. So now you have the ability to weave this super story, that's going to be a little more befitting for John Cena than Cena just simply saying, "Hey, I'm going to go to the chamber and I'm going to win it." It's not grandiose enough. The but yeah, that's just my feeling on it. I think you get more mileage and more press out of having Cena get a disappointing loss here, grab a rallying win at WrestleMania, and then go on to win at a Money in the Bank, and then put in the challenge for SummerSlam. Because remember too, SummerSlam is also a stadium show. It's essentially WrestleMania Part Two at this point. So you got to go in there hot. You got to go in there hot, and you finish out the rest of the fall with Cena as champion, and just throw every heel that you got on the books at him, plus maybe some we haven't seen in a while.
all right. So a final match, we sort of know who's going to win. It's going to be Tiffany Trish versus Nia Jax, Candice LeRae. What do they do with Tiffany though? I mean, because she's a heel. I know the fans love her, but she's a heel, and Charlotte Flair is as they say, the baby face. Even though fans hate her, she sort of doesn't act like a baby face. So how do they do this double turn when you don't want Tiffany to go away from what made her hot, but at the same time, you don't want her to be the dumb baby face who Charlotte pulls the wool over. And there's a lot of people who don't want Charlotte to beat Tiffany. So, Elimination Chamber, what would you do to help sort of get this going in terms of, all right, Tiffany gets to win, but we start transitioning to the WrestleMania run?
Well, I think it's smart. You put over the legend. I mean, I think Trish is you know, Trish is Trish, right? Trish is in that special spot where she can be healed today and babyface tomorrow. But putting Tiffy with Trish, it gives you the ability to do one of two things. You have the ability to, you have the ability to pull off a double turn seamlessly, or to reaffirm who the heel is going to be, right? Because they go to this match, they can win. They go over, and Tiffany can either turn on Trish or embrace her, and then you let Charlotte respond accordingly, and then go from there. It's I think people like to kind of overcomplicate this stuff. It is what it is. Charlotte is kind of one of those. Char- uh, Charlotte's a Tom Brady type, right? We People like to boo excellence. It is what it is. The Charlotte is also infinitely more comfortable with being heel. So let's roll into WrestleMania with people in their, in their comfort zones. Tiffany is gonna have to learn how to be a baby face. She's just going to have to. The women's division is, especially in the main roster part. The main roster part is overflowing with heels right now, with strong heels. You need someone you just need someone who can be a baby face. Which is, I think they were kind of hoping that would be Bailey, but again, Bailey just isn't compelling enough as a baby. When you're leaving money on the table without her doing her ding dong hello shit. Yeah, it just let the let the pretty blonde with the big boobies go be a baby face, and let's just keep it moving.
All right. Well, it's time for you to rage, Kevin. I know you've been very polite and courteous, and I know you love to rage. So, from Awful Wrestling, and we saw this at AEW Dynamite. And forget about the 598. So they cut to Christopher Daniels getting jumped by MJF as a despondent cowboy. Hangman Page is watching, and then yes, they actually cut to Christopher Daniels midway blading himself. I could feel the anger as you're like,
Dude,
dare they do that to Christopher Daniels? And then you're going, I need to choke a bitch, as they say in the streets. I need to choke a bitch at AEW. I don't know who. Just how can you screw this up? It's like peanut butter and jelly. You
bro,
can't screw it, but AEW seems to screw it up.
this is why we're on the road to 500,000, brother. Like, look at 598, and we're not even to the NBA Finals yet. When they come out of the NBA Finals, they may very well be sitting at like 545, and then they still get another drop. They still get another drop like around September when it's school time again. So it's like, oof, I'm not, I'm sweating, bullets right now if I'm Tony. But again, this is just more Bush League bullshit, dude. This is why production meetings matter. This is why you do walkthroughs. It's all the same stuff we talked about when I was on last time. And this is stuff that keeps happening to them. It just keeps happening to them. First of all, we're desperate when people got to start bleeding. Why was blood on this segment even necessary? What does it do for Christopher Daniels? He is Christopher Daniels is now a non-wrestler character. He's Timu Pierce. So what good did you get out of blooding up a guy who doesn't wrestle anymore? Especially after the way they bitched him out when he was going to wrestle. Oh well, my doctors say I can't anymore. I'm not medically cleared. All right, bro. Like I get it. I get what you're trying to say, but you made him look like a bitch because honestly, this should have been you the way this is so easy. You do this the week before the build this match. You have the heel come and go, bro, you can't even wrestle. I got your stuff right here. You can't get cleared anywhere on the planet. And then you give the babyface their Rocky Balboa moment where they got to go beg, the local commission to let him wrestle just one more match. And then it's going to be what it's going to be after that. They're so damn incompetent. They just straight bitch the dude out. And now we're gonna jump a couple weeks in. We know no one's watching the damn show, so now it's time to start bleeding everywhere. Now it's time to have MJF get his tattoo removed. It's like all this bunch of crap. Like who cares, man? And then they're so damn incompetent that one, it probably took them too long to get to him when he was freshly bleeding, so he had to re-hardway himself, re-hardway himself open. What we should. This is what pre-tape is for. They should have just pre-taped this stupid segment and aired it live. I don't understand the how and the why they do things the way they do in this dumb show. It is just it's legitimately it's effing baffling, man. It's baffling. It's baffling.
How much does it bother you that it's Christopher Daniels? Because I know that you've never wrestled him, you've never worked with him, but you know him and from I'm guessing various mutual friends. He has a lot of he's genuinely respected in the wrestling industry. He's worked with even guys like Stephen Amell and pulled a good match out of him for being a newbie. So
Well, dude, like Christopher Daniels is like what? It's just Christopher Daniels is a legend, man. So it's fine. You can make the argument. Well, he was never here, but the guy was everywhere else. The guy was legitimately everywhere else, and he was one of those. And he was one of those indie workers that during the late '90s, even if you didn't know what an indie worker was, like Christopher Daniels was a very early internet darling. So like when if he would pop up in a backstage segment, or he'd just be standing on a platform like, oh look, it's Christopher Daniels. It's a guy who's been around for a really long time. His TNA run was effing phenomenal. Some of the best matches you've ever seen on TV. The so I listen, I don't mind when you're a non-wrestler like this is the point of him. He's a non-wrestling authority figure who has juice behind his name and appearance. So because he can't fight, you leverage these characters, these established characters, to move the storyline along and to increase the stakes. What's stupid is there was no reason for blood. And then what's even stupider is the way we went about getting the blood. Again, this is a live show. So you had it from Blade. He's probably sitting on the fucking floor for God knows how long, waiting for him to get to this point that he's got to freshen himself up. The person who's actually filming the actual producer of the segment should have been the one paying attention. All right, Chris, I'm gonna give you a soft 5 count. So so you got to get yourself, you got to get that blood flowing again. By the time you hit 5, the camera's panning, Chris is in position instead of what the hell it is that we got, where the cues were off, the camera's moving, and Chris is opening himself up and has to really go back to look like he's he's selling, getting mugged. It's Bush League, man. It's Bush League. And a character like that deserves better. Oh, and it's not even just the character. Listen, if you are taking the time to watch the show, whether you are a sicko or a casual or someone who just happened to crash upon it for the very first time, as someone who took the time, or rather, I should say, someone who invested the time to watch the show, you deserve better from the live product than what people get. That's just the meat and potatoes of it. This program fails to meet its even most basic obligation to the people who choose to watch it, and that is reward the people who invested effort into your show. They're just utterly unable to do this without a damn issue.
is this worse than the Megan Bain incident? Because at least with Thunder Rosa, Megan Bain, and you know Penelope Ford, you could go, okay, it was Penelope and Megan froze. They're newbies. They don't know better. And just, the heat of the moment got to them where they just. This seems worse, though, because it's like Daniels knows what he's doing. Tony should know what he's doing. He's been doing it for 5 years. The people in production should know after 5 friggin' years. Like this feels worse than the Megan Bain because you can't blame the wrestlers. You can't blame anybody going for business into for themselves. This is just like almost incompetence on
Well,
a management ownership level.
that's the problem. It's that the Megan Bain thing happened just last week. So now we've got 2 weeks in a row. And really, honestly, we're talking really 3 weeks in a row because that Australia show was a debacle for them. It was a debacle for them. You've got a ring where it's just all the drama behind the ring. Then we roll back into the Megan Bain situation. Then we roll into the Daniel situation. This is supposed to be a top tier company that appears to be operating worse than I like to call them the tax return promoter running an indie so that him and his friends have a sandbox that they can play in. This is bad, bro. This is bad. This is it's silly.
How do you fix it? That's because everyone wants to know how you fix it. And it's sort of like you've
Well,
run out of ideas. Like, okay, well, CM Punk was problem, so we let him go. No, well, it was we didn't have enough veteran wrestlers, so we signed in. And then the ratings keep going down. Well, we're gonna no Darby Allin's not gonna be anywhere near the world title. He's disappeared, so we're gonna put somebody else. Like, how do you fix this if you're an AEW fan going?
nope.
This has to get
It,
better. It
it's
has
not
to get better.
it's not a talent problem. It's a leadership problem. You know how you fix it? You return Shane McMahon's phone call and give him whatever amount of equity he wants in the company. That's how you fix it. But Tony's not going to do that, so it's not going to get fixed. Tony Khan is the problem. That is that it's that it starts from the top, it trickles all the way down to the bottom, and then shoots all the way right back up. The one consistent problem in AEW is Tony Khan's incompetence. We're 5.5 years in, closer to 6, and at this point, the training wheel should be well off. We should have really adjusted who this show tries to cater to, and you can see it in the more in the more gracious actual wrestling journalist community. As soon as the show ended, Bully Ray sent out a tweet that said this show really caters to the smallest niche of fans or something along those lines. You had LaGreca having his meltdown, live, while they were watching the Australian show. You've got two different people who are now voicing the sentiments of the more vocal or aggressive AEW commentators. I don't want to say anti AEW because very few are actually anti AEW. It's really more a frustration with AEW because they do such a very weak job with getting this with the presentation. And again, we were willing to play nice with them. Everybody needs a honeymoon period. 1 year, 2 years. Oh, COVID happened. All right, and the world got thrown for a loop. We'll give them another year, but the world went back to normal, and everybody had plenty of time to learn how to do this shit. Now we're so far removed from all those old issues and worries that they should be smooth sailing right now. Year 5 should have been a banner year for them, and it's just more of the same lazy and incompetent puzzling bullshit. No one knows who the show is written for. It's most nights you may have an 8 to 10 segment show with 6 of the segments essentially being the same, nonsensical overruns that don't need to exist, shitty finishes across the board, really bad stagnant promos. 3 of the really bad stagnant promos were the exact same as the previous promos that you got to see in the night. The only thing that they've got a little bit better on is creating their backstage vignettes, and even those are shit. So there's been no. The show has actually regressed from his first episode, and that it's baffling. It's baffling. But at the end of the day, The fault is Tony's. He doesn't want to listen. He doesn't want to learn. He's too busy smoking weed and being a weak of feet weasel, as opposed to being a boss. And that's why this show fails.
So AEW Mole, if you follow him on Twitter, AEW Mole, he's knows his stuff. He is reporting. Get ready for this, Kevin. You're gonna love it. That the end to John Moxley reign is gonna be the Death Riders versus the Elite. That's right. I'm not making this up. This is what the and I can hear you. By the way, there's no plan for Okada right now. I guess he'll be in the corner playing with himself, giving himself the finger tongue, calling bitch. So yes, if that happens, does AEW finally die when Tony Khan goes? You know what?
If
Death
you want to
Riders
see,
versus Elite. That sounds like if we're gonna have Hangman Page or Kenny Omega beat Moxley to save the company.
if you want to see a negative buy rate, that's going to be it. People are gonna give them money just to not have to watch this bullshit. The it's oof, what a dumb what a dumb fuck idea. That is someone with their own head shoved straight up their own ass, sniffing their own farts.
I can
This,
hear you. Yeah, you're coming for me. You want to get louder, but like Trump with Zelensky, you're like, no, I can't just take him out back and have him shot. It's not politically correct. You're at the same point. You're like, I can't raise my voice. Can't do
I
it.
can't.
But you're
What's
not
honestly
getting
what?
close to that level.
At that point, what's the fucking point, man? What is the point? First of all, so the Death Rider storyline that no one fucking understands. No one understands what this stupid storyline was supposed to be, is going to end with the Elite, where essentially the storyline started with the Elite because they wanted to take over the company, and then they gave up, and then listen, I don't. So I'm supposed to watch after all this time. Daniel Yuta and Cesaro or Pac, job to the Bucks. Sloppy salami bitch tit young bucks with the thinning hair. Or I'm supposed to watch. I look so bored. I don't want to be here. Omega, or that fucking black hole of fucking charisma. The soy boy cowboy beat Moxley. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? That is, ugh. Who cares? I think even your most fucking delusional of AEW Mark is gonna have a real hard time pretending that this is something to fucking celebrate. Who gives a shit? The Elite cannot draw. Well, the biggest draw on Dynamite is the end credits of the fucking Big Bang Theory. So we're gonna put box office killer on the screen and have them wrap up this storyline that no one wants to fucking see. God, please go ahead. I actually hope this happens because I will gleefully watch this fucking Hindenburg. I watched it. This is going to be like watching the Hindenburg crash into the Titanic. I can't wait.
Well, we're gonna end this by going. Another thing I've heard, a rumor is that once again it's from AEW Mole, Ronda Rousey might come back. To this time, the plan is that she will join AEW. She'll, I guess, wrestle. This is what this I might actually tune AEW. Mercedes Moné versus Ronda Rousey, two people who cannot stand each other. I want to be. They should have like NFL, have the NFL teams have like, you know, those camp things where it's like a 24/7 or hard knocks. They should do that with Tony, Ronda, Mercedes all in a room, and Tony trying to convince one of the two to job to the other. I would pay to see that, and the look on his face is he's just horror because who is he going to tell no to? Who's he going to say, "Hey, you got to lose to this person"?
Well, that's the who do you say no to? And he can't say no to anybody. I don't. Was their Rumble match good? I don't remember.
It was okay, but Mercedes hated doing it, and I don't think she wants to ever lose to Ronda Rousey again. So does Ronda come back just to lose to Mercedes? I mean, as I said, eventually Tony's gonna have to like come out of like the groundhog, come out of the hole, not get scared of his shadow. Go, look, I'm sorry, no, you can't go over her. She has to win. So who scares him more, Ronda or Mercedes?
You can't bring Ronda Rousey back after years of being gone, right? Other than her little pop up on ROH, you can't have her be gone, and have her come back just to job to this fucking weeb that no one cares about. It would be one thing if Mercedes was like setting the world on fire and people were super into this, and now you're just pulling in challengers out of the woodwork to see who can be the one to defeat her. Um, that's not the case here. She's uninteresting. People are not into it. She is starting to have go away heat. The it's and she doesn't have the ability anymore. She's just it is what it is. Like she's too small. She's too small to do the shit she wants to do. And Father Time knows no, Father Time doesn't put anybody over. She doesn't move as fast as she used to. So it's like Ronda Rousey's gonna come in there. She's gonna be in phenomenal shape, and we all know Ronda's a certified fucking killer. So at this point, what do you get out of jobbing Ronda Rousey to Mercedes, other than having people yell at you? And this company needs smart decisions, not more of the dumb shit. And yeah, Tony's a pussy, but at some point in time, he's gonna have to say no. He's got to say no to somebody. He's got. I would hope that Mercedes is smart enough to understand when it's time to do business, because there is for AEW for AEW, their biggest money matches always come from people who are not in AEW. So this is a big opportunity to generate some media buzz for them, right? Because Ronda Rousey's name carries a lot of weight. So this is a chance for her to come back, for her to generate mainstream media coverage, for her to generate casual fan interest in what she's doing. And if you just have her lose to, again, this fucking weeb, the people be like, ugh, that's when you start getting people go, man, this shit's fake. Whereas if you let Ronda kind of keep it a little competitive, let Ronda whoop her ass at the end, people are gonna be like, oh wow, that was cool, and they're gonna give this dumb show a second chance. But go ahead. I hope Sasha or sorry, I hope Mercedes beats her the same night that the fucking Elite goes over the Death Riders, so that we can have we can have a brand new number one contender for the absolute worst pay per view of all time.
Well, very heavily, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, we always love having him on the show because he pulls no punches, takes no dives. I give you, it's once again the Wardog himself. I give you Kevin Apollo. So, Kevin, where can fans check you out? Once again, where is the Instagram, the X, the Facebook, and also, once again, what's going on with All American Coliseum Wrestling?
Sure. So I think I touched on it last time. I'm in the middle of kind of doing a little bit of rebrand. So I'll let everybody know soon. I changed the show's going to be the Easter weekend. So the Saturday before Easter. What is that? April 19th, I think. It's gonna be our first show back. For the April 19th, our first show back for the new year. We're gonna be trying to adopt a more TV stylized formatted show, where I think it'll be fun for everybody involved. And working on where we're gonna be live streaming it from. I think I'm probably gonna feed it onto the Twitter and the Instagram to start, and then and then when I add it to where it's gonna be Facebook or Rumble, I'll add in some extra features for the people who will be watching it a little bit later. Because I want to do. The goal is to kind of do, just very brief. I, I want people to get to know the indie workers who are on the show. These guys put a lot of hard work and effort into growing their characters, and my big thing has always been to help people kind of showcase their body of work. So I want to do things where we do like old school sports center get to know you profiles, where you learn about the guy or the gal, in their character. So when you finally see them wrestle, it means a little bit more. I want to work a little more soap opera stuff, because that's what that's what gets the ticket sold, is the drama of it all. And then I have no worries about the matches. The people that I work with are largely very talented athletes, so I think finding a new and better way to showcase them is something that's very important for me. And also, I think it'll differentiate us from a lot of the other indie promotions who just kind of live under that let's just go wrestle and curse a lot. And I just not that's just not something I believe in. It's a family centric show that I believe is keep it as action packed as humanly possible. But follow me on Twitter, at Wardog Apollo. Instagram it's Wardog_Apollo. And both for the ACW account, it's ACW_Coliseum for both X and Instagram. Hopefully, when we get together soon, I'll let you know. I'll let you know where we're going to be. What the YouTube and the Rumble channels will be, and then where else you can kind of check us out. But any support is greatly appreciated. We don't. I don't have the ability to subsidize the show with a wrestling school. I don't believe in doing that and stealing from a bunch of kids to pad my ego. We do work off of the house, but there's lots of cool, fun, interesting things that I want to start doing. That'll kind of help. That'll help the audience be a little more engaged with the product. So again, when I have a little more information and when I know we're gonna exactly start rolling things out, I'll make sure that I announce it here first because you're a good friend, man, and I appreciate the support, man. It's been a lot of fun.
Kevin Apollo, ladies and gentlemen, once again, always honor, pleasure. Have you on the show. We come back, a lot more going on here, only on its last call. Last call, the alcohol, only on the lastcallpodcast.com.